Welcome back to Plantoria Gardening. In this video, I'm going to show you 5 soil-destroying mistakes that are ranked from dangerous to absolutely catastrophic for your garden. These aren't small errors that cost you a few tomatoes. These are the exact practices that turned fertile farmland into dust bowls and caused crop failures that starved entire regions. By the end of this video, you'll understand why your garden gets worse every year instead of better, and how farmers a century ago grew healthier vegetables than most of us do today. The farmer stood in his field, staring at rows of withered tomato plants. 3 months of work, gone in a week. He'd done everything by the book: proper spacing, weekly watering, organic fertilizer. But he'd made one mistake that gardeners have been making since the 1800s, a mistake so common that most people don't even know it's killing their crops. And here's what makes it worse. The solution was sitting in his own compost pile the entire time. But first, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I spend weeks researching the history behind these growing techniques, digging through agricultural records and testing methods that haven't been widely used in over 100 years. Your subscription keeps this channel going. And honestly, the information I'm sharing today could save you years of frustration in your garden. Let's start with number 5, ignoring crop rotation. This sounds harmless until you understand what actually happens in the soil when you plant tomatoes in the same spot 2 years in a row. Tomatoes are heavy feeders from the nightshade family. When they grow, they pull specific nutrients, especially nitrogen and potassium, out of the soil in massive quantities. But they also leave something behind: disease spores and pest larvae that specifically target nightshades. Plant tomatoes in the same bed the next season, and you're essentially setting up a buffet for last year's problems while starving your plants in depleted soil. Farmers in the 1300s didn't have soil test kits, but they figured this out through brutal trial and error. They developed rotation systems so effective that some European villages used the same fields continuously for over 500 years without the soil giving out. The system they used was called the 3-field rotation. Year 1, they'd plant nitrogen-hungry grain crops. Year 2, they'd follow with legumes that actually pull nitrogen from the air and store it in root nodules. Year 3, they'd let the field rest. This wasn't just smart farming. It was survival. A failed harvest meant starvation. For your backyard, the solution is simple. Follow nightshades with brassicas, like cabbage or broccoli. They need different nutrients and have deeper roots that break up soil compaction. After brassicas, plant legumes to restore nitrogen. Then root vegetables like carrots that cruise on the nitrogen left behind. Only in year 5 do you return to nightshades. The difference in plant health is staggering. Number 4 gets worse: tilling wet soil. I've watched gardeners do this hundreds of times, and every single time, they're destroying their soil structure in ways that take years to repair. Here's what happens. Soil is made up of tiny particles: sand, silt, and clay. Between those particles are air pockets that roots need to breathe, and water channels that allow drainage. When soil is properly moist, those particles clump together in what scientists call aggregates. This is good structure, but when you till wet soil, you smash those aggregates into a paste. The air pockets collapse, the water channels disappear, and you create something called a hardpan layer. Hardpan is exactly what it sounds like: a concrete-like layer below the surface that roots cannot penetrate and water cannot drain through. During the Dust Bowl of the 1930s, one of the contributing factors was farmers tilling wet prairie soil with heavy equipment. They pulverized the natural structure that had taken centuries to develop. And when drought hit, there was nothing holding the topsoil in place. It blew away in black clouds that darkened the sky for days. In your garden, tilling wet soil means your plants will drown in heavy rain because water can't drain, and they'll die of thirst during dry spells because roots can't reach deeper moisture. The fix is patience. Wait until soil is moist, but not soggy. Grab a handful and squeeze it. If water drips out, it's too wet. If it forms a ball that crumbles when you poke it, that's perfect. Number 3 is where things get genuinely destructive. Removing all organic matter from your garden beds. I see this constantly. Gardeners clean up every leaf, every stem, every piece of plant debris, because they think a tidy garden is a healthy garden. They're wrong. What they're actually doing is starving the soil ecosystem that keeps plants alive. Soil isn't just dirt. It's a living system packed with billions of bacteria, fungi, protozoa, and larger organisms like earthworms. These creatures break down organic matter and convert it into nutrients that plants can absorb. Remove all the organic matter, and you remove their food source. The microbial population crashes. Earthworms leave. Beneficial fungi die off. What's left is basically sterile dirt that can't support healthy plant growth without constant fertilizer inputs. During the Victorian era, English estate gardens were famous for their productivity. One of their secrets was leaving chopped plant material on the beds as mulch. They'd cut down spent crops, chop them into small pieces, and spread them around growing plants. This fed the soil life, suppressed weeds, and retained moisture. Modern research has proven they were right. Soil with active organic matter cycling produces healthier plants with better disease resistance than soil treated with synthetic fertilizers alone. The solution is simple: leave it. Chop up your plant debris and use it as mulch. Add compost regularly. Let leaves decompose on the surface instead of bagging them up. You're not making a mess. You're feeding your soil. Number 2 is a mistake that wrecks soil chemistry for years: overfertilizing with synthetics. Synthetic fertilizers are concentrated salts. When you pour them on your garden, they deliver a massive dose of nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium all at once. Plants gorge themselves, grow rapidly, and produce impressive yields for a season or two. But here's the hidden damage. Those fertilizer salts kill soil microbes. They disrupt the natural pH balance. They leach into groundwater and contaminate wells. Even worse, they create a dependent cycle. Plants fed with synthetics develop shallow root systems because nutrients are always available at the surface. They stop forming partnerships with beneficial fungi that would normally help them access nutrients from deeper soil. Eventually, your garden can't grow anything without fertilizer because the natural soil ecosystem has been destroyed. This happened on a massive scale during the Green Revolution of the 1960s and 70s. Farmers worldwide adopted synthetic fertilizers and saw yields skyrocket initially. But within a generation, soil quality had degraded so badly that they needed more fertilizer every year just to maintain the same production levels. Farmland that had been productive for centuries became addicted to chemical inputs. In your garden, the fix is switching to organic fertilizers: compost, aged manure, bone meal, blood meal. These release nutrients slowly and feed soil life instead of killing it. Your plants might grow a bit slower at first, but the long-term soil health is incomparably better. And now we reach number 1, the most catastrophic mistake you can make: continuous monoculture, without any soil rest or amendment. This is what that farmer at the beginning was doing. Planting the same crop in the same soil year after year after year, never rotating, never adding organic matter, never giving the ground a chance to recover. It's the gardening equivalent of running a marathon every day without eating or sleeping. Eventually, total collapse is guaranteed. Monoculture strips soil of specific nutrients that one plant family needs. It builds up disease and pest populations that specialize in that crop. It destroys soil structure because the same root depth is used repeatedly. And it depletes the seed bank of beneficial companion plants that would normally help balance the ecosystem. History has brutal examples of what happens when monoculture meets disaster. The Irish potato famine of the 1845 killed over 1 million people because the entire country was growing one variety of potato. When late blight hit, there was no diversity to buffer the loss. Every field failed simultaneously. In your garden, monoculture might not cause famine, but it will cause failure. I've tested this myself. 2 raised beds, same soil, same sun. One bed got rotated crops and organic amendments. The other got tomatoes every year with synthetic fertilizer. By year 3, the monoculture bed produced fruits half the size, plants riddled with disease, and soil that was gray and lifeless. The rotated bed had dark, crumbly soil teeming with earthworms and yields that doubled the first year's harvest. Breaking monoculture requires commitment. Rotate your crops through at least 4 different plant families. Add compost or green manure between plantings. If disease has built up, plant a grass crop like rye for an entire season to starve out pathogens. Give your soil diversity, rest, and food, and it will reward you with decades of productivity. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these mistakes have you been making? Are you guilty of tilling wet soil, or have you been planting tomatoes in the same spot every year? Drop a comment and let me know. I read every single one, and your experience might help another gardener avoid the same problem. If this video opened your eyes to what has been going wrong in your garden, hit that like button and share it with other gardeners who need to hear this. Subscribe to my channel because I've got more videos coming on historical growing techniques that outperform modern shortcuts. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.